Hi, you guys. Some of us, we didn't get to finish our example 3 on the lesson that we had in person. So you would take the equation. Notice that this is in standard form like the ones that we talked about in class. You would find the x-intercept by setting the y at 0 and solving the equation. So x would equal 4. So that would give us the ordered pair of 4, 0. The y-intercept, we would set the x at 0, solve the equation, and y is 10, so that would give us the ordered pair of 0, 10. Graph those two on your point, connect your line. When we're interpreting, this is what it means to interpret. If we were asked to interpret the slope or the intercepts, the x-intercept shows that you can buy 4 pounds. So you want to use your labels. So this hasn't been labeled. The x, as you can see from up here, x is the number of pounds in apples. So this was apples in pounds, and this was bananas in pounds. So it's really helpful if you have those labeled. So make sure you always label yours. So when you're looking at this point, it says that you can get 4 pounds of apple when you do not have any or 0 bananas. The y-intercept is telling you that you can have 10 pounds of bananas when you have 0 apples. And that's what it means when you interpret. Now let's move on to our on your own. So for on your own, I've kind of put them on the graph paper already. So the first ones were two, if you recall, were just graph those. And they were in standard form, and you want to change them to slope-intercept form. So for this, we want to get y by itself. So we're going to subtract x. Those are gone. Y equals negative x minus 2. And then to graph that, that's in slope-intercept form. So remember, this is like having a negative 1 over 1. So we're going to find negative 2. That's our starting point. And we're going to go, since this is negative, it can be negative 1 over positive 1 or 1 over negative 1. Those are equal. So I'm going to go down 1, positive 1. Or I can go up 1, negative 1. And when we get enough points, 3 is fine. You can keep drawing them if you need. Take your straight edge and draw it all the way through your graph. And again, we had a negative slope, so you want to make sure that you have a negative line. On this one, we want y by itself, so we're going to add a half x, add 1/2 x on this side. Those are gone. So we get 2y equals 1/2 x plus 6. Divide by 2. Divide all of that by 2. So y equals, now remember, like I told you, there are 2 terms. So we have to divide both terms by 2. So with a half, think about it. 1/2 divided by 2 means that we're multiplying by the reciprocal. So the reciprocal is 1/2. Okay, so here, when you're doing half divided by 2, that's the same as multiplying by the reciprocal. So 1/2 times 1/2 is 1/4 x. And then 6 divided by 2 is a positive 3. So we would go to 3, 1, 2, 3. There's our first point. We have a slope of 1/4, so up 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. I can also go down 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. And use your straight edge to draw your line through your graph. Okay, for this one, the third one, you have to get y by itself, so we would add 2/3 x to both sides. And we're done with that, so we get y equals 2/3 x. Now, when we're adding 0, we do not have to put plus 0, and we know that this is a proportional relationship. So we know it's going to go through the origin, and it's up to 1, 2 over 3, 1, 2, 3, or down 2 into the negative 1, 2, 3. Get at least 3 points. You can always do more, and then draw your line. Okay, then, and those were positive, so make sure that that's a positive. Then for number 4, These asked you to find the intercepts. So I'm going to first try where I put x equal to 0. And so that would give me 0. So y is equal to 5. So when I have x is 0, I know y is 5. Okay. And then I'm going to rework it. 2x plus 0 equals 5. And so now I'm going to set the y at 0. And when I do that, that's gone. So divide by 2, divide by 2. X equals 5 halves. So this is 5 halves, which is also 2.5. So that'll help me when I'm going to graph that. So I have 0, 5, and then I have 5 halves, which is 2.5. 1, 2, half, 0. So it's going to fall there. And it is going to go like that. For number 5, I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to first start with my 0 and my x, and then my next one I'll do my 0 and my y. So I'm going to put a 0 here, and that's going to make that 0. And so I had a minus y equals 8, so now I want it to be y equals negative 8. So that's going to be negative 8. And then I'm going to redo that one. So it was 2x minus y equals 8. So now I'm going to set the y as 0, so 2x minus 0 equals 8. So those are just gone. So divide by 2, and x equals 4. So now I'm going to graph. So 0, negative 8, and 4, 0. And then I'm going to draw my line for that one as well. And then for number 6, I'm going to do the same thing, 0, and then find my y, and then put 0 for y. So if I make this 0, I get 3y, divide by 3, and y equals 2. And then we're going to do it again, x plus 3y equals 6. And this time I'm going to put in 0 for y. So I get x plus 3 times 0 equals 6. Those are gone because that gives me 0. X equals 6. So you can see actually finding the intercepts is very quick. So we have 0, 2, 1, 2. And then I have 6, 0. And then I'm going to line those up and draw my line all the way through. And then for number 7, they asked us to use this equation because the oranges cost $1.20 per pound. And they asked to graph the equation and interpret the intercepts. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to solve this by putting zeros in. So if I put in 0 for x, and then 0 in for y. So if I put 0 here, those are gone because that gives me a 0. Divide by 1 and 2/10. So I'm going to go ahead and divide, so those are gone. So y equals 5. So when a 0 is for x, I get 5 here. And now I'm going to redo that one. 1.5x plus 1.2y equals 6. And this time I'm going to put 0 in for the y. So 1 and 5/10 x plus 1 and 2/10 times 0 equals 6. So those become 0. So let's get rid of that. And divide by 1 and 5/10 on both sides. And x is 4. Okay, let me double check, make sure I had it right. 4. So then you would graph those, and I'm going to graph those on the same one here. So I have 0, 5. So 0, 5 would be right here. And then the other one was 4, 0, which was right here. And if we had the change in those, our new line would fall right there. So those were on your own answers.